helps us also to build the game world, not only to kind of provide the play experience. So it's pretty, I would say, I think it adds a lot also to the kind of power of this approach. So also this red big, whatever this word is, so big red things are the guarding points of the zone. So the gate zone is concerned about the gates. They don't want the player to be, to let them through it. The safe zone concerned about this house. Yeah, you get the picture. So we can click between the signal hubs. We can see that different devices connected there, and the numbers here are showing how many bots are there. So in the beginning, it's pretty uncrowded to let the players start. More or less kind of in a free way. But then once they start to make mistakes, of course, things get more interesting. Let's simulate like a first misstep by a player. So let's imagine they were spotted here on this point. So I will push a button and then pause the game. Oh, yeah, exactly. Okay, so as I mentioned, we strive to solve like usual stealth approaches, but in the beginning, like when the players are just starting the game, it makes sense to take it not very rough. So at the beginning, the bots behave the way they behave in a usual stealth game. So when you put when the enemy is spotted, bots are just coming around, taking a look, like is the player here or not, and then they kind of get back to their patrol routes. This is happening only on lower alarm levels. So you see this is our like alarm level meter. Now it's blue, it's kind of calm, and then it becomes yellow, things becomes more rough, and then it's orange, and then it's red, so it's total hell. Let's see. So this one event happened, alarm level was raised, bots came here, and you can see that the strategy for the zone changed to swarm. So swarm is basically the what usually bots do in most stealth games. They just swarm the place and trying to find the player. What happens next is more interesting. So if I would do the next alarm here, and I will do it very fast, so like within some set period, like 10 or 15 seconds, then the base AI will assume that actually this player is playing like a commando, so they are spotted often, and then basically it will try to swarm this space as well. But let's play it another way. So I will show you more like kind of advanced behavior. So in this case, we wait for some 10 seconds, let them kind of check, and now they are starting to return. Yeah, you see strategy usual here. So they switched back, and now we are doing another alarm here. Okay, so the alarm level changed to yellow, and the strategy for the zone where the player was spotted, this parking lot zone, it's actually not a swarm, as you can see, but it's sweep. So they are understood because there was a long delay between player being spotted. The base AI understood that this player is a stealth player, so they're trying to be a ninja, and that's why it doesn't make sense to swarm the place where they were last spotted, but more like change the patrol routes and try to kind of find them randomly. When of course with two bots it's kind of unrealistic, but still it's what they do. So now I will check to this zone, and you can see that they're just trying to find the player without actually kind of visiting the point. And now also the reinforcements have arrived. You see the doors of this elevator are opened, and there are 4 hunters who came because of the yellow alarm level. So they make things more interesting. They actually follow any alarm points, so they don't care about strategies. They are just hunters. Now let's dial things up a bit. So I will pause the game, and then I will do like, just a sec. Then I will do like 3 more spots here. So let's say the player was spotted 3 times in the parking lot. 3 times, please. Okay, so now the level raises to orange, and you can see that actually the strategy for signal for the parking lot changed to swarm. So bots like understood, okay, this player is really playing rough, so we need to swarm him. But the other zones, that's what most interesting here. They are not actually trying to swarm this, but they are blocking the sector. So let's switch to the center and unpause. So they're trying to take positions and kind of, yeah, this one already in position, he's controlling them, and the others are, yeah, taking their places as well. So now they they want to make sure that the player will not run away from here. And also, which is what is interesting, that the new reinforcements which arrived, they are joining the parking lot here. So it's becoming 8 people strong. So now the player is in real trouble. Okay, that's more or less it for my presentation. So I have time for questions, if you have any.
Thank you very much, Anton. That was a great presentation.
Yeah, sure.
And that kind of reminded me of Sly Cooper, the game, the last one. It had some similar things that reminded me of it.
Yeah, I can say that actually the best kind of AI which is behaves at least a bit similar to this, like our Grand Vision, is currently in the game Ghost Recon Breakpoint by Ubisoft. So if you are interested in this kind of things, you can try the game. Yeah, I mean, for all the audience. So if you're interested in complex AI behavior, take a look at this one. They are doing something similar. So they are blocking zones and stuff. But yeah, I mean, of course, it will come to that in the end. So a kind of managing player experience is very important, and you cannot solve it just by kind of randomly sending all the guards around or just making them more or less run away from the player and letting them hide. Yeah.
That is super interesting. Hold up. There's another question for you on the chat.
Okay.
Do you want to read it yourself, or do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I will do that. So
okay.
Christopher is complimenting me, and then he asks, do you see players switch style a lot, or do you think they will stick to the same? Well, from what I see by doing playtests so far, yeah, players pretty flexible. So if they kind of are overwhelmed by reinforcements, for example, they go stealth and hiding. Yeah, so if they have the hacker's ability, they use it, but yeah, not always. Again, so sometimes if you're a hacker and you get bored, you can go commando. So I think it's pretty. It's not really like players decide to play this way and stick to it forever. It's something that is flexible. That's why actually it's important to do these real-time choices on the fly. Thanks, but it's a great question. Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Maybe let him ask the question to Christopher.
Oh yeah, you could ask the question, Christopher.
Yeah, Christopher, I wanted to ask you about the system of yours. So you said that you're using like you can take even just a simple demo from Unity, right? Like this UFPS, and then you attach your own script to it, and then you let it run in loose. This, of course, is pretty cool. But how you actually achieve the like that this bot is doing at least something sensible? Like how do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get it. So like the question is, how to make sure that it's actually taking actions that make sense, or that it's worth your time to have the bot pursue. Yeah. So we ask the developer, or in these cases we do it ourselves, right, to define what the important parts of the game state is. So it's kind of like when the bot has an observation in the game space, you can extend a class and you define, what parts of the game state should I care about. And then what it'll do from there is that it'll use the search algorithm to make sure that these are changing as much as possible. And because it has memory, it also sort of like has access to the chains of actions that it took that would, change each state. And that's kind of like how it searches through it. So you're giving it a small specification of the things that matter in your game when you're doing the exploration, if that makes sense.
Is it kind of a behavioral tree?
No, so it's called a quality diversity algorithm, and it's inspired by an algorithm called Go Explore. And if you go and look in the AI research space, there are some papers on that. It just came out in Nature, actually. But the idea is basically that it maintains sort of like a memory of subsequent states, and then it's looking for a way to think about it is like you're looking for novel states. So you're constantly trying to search what is the best way to get to a state that I haven't seen before, basically. And then it's constantly going back and looking in what we call what's called an archive, where it goes back and looks at the states that it's seen before. So yeah, it's more like a tree search than behavior trees.
Okay, and can you teach him to like shoot things, for example?
Yeah, so if we're talking about the exploration bot, basically what you would do is that so you have the state specification. These are all the things that matter in the game. And then you have the action specification, and these are the things that you can do. And from the algorithm's perspective, shoot is just it's equivalent to jump or go forward or go backwards. So if you put it in the repertoire of things that the AI can do, it'll try and do it to make something new happen, basically.
Cool. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So now we're going to take, let's say, 10-minute break. And after that, we're going to have our today's last quest. And then we're going to have some discussion about everything like an open discussion about everything or anything. All right. 10-minute break. See you guys soon. I think we just have had the best slideshow in human history ever. I appreciate it, everybody. Christopher, if you're ready to get your slides ready, then we are ready to that too. Yes, that's a great sentence. Good. If you're ready, we're ready.
We all set?
All right. So, yeah, I can introduce you first, or do you want to introduce yourself?
I can introduce myself, so it's kind of part of the whole slide thing anyways.
Works for me. All right.
Great. Hey, everybody, and greetings from Helsinki. I'll be talking and talking about the AI and demoing Rival Peak. There's unfortunately sort of a lot to unpack around the AI and the experience of Rival Peak, so in order to provide proper context, I need to talk about Genvid, about massive interactive live events or miles, and these are sort of gamified viewer-centric experiences that we're building. I'll talk about the AI and Project Ulysses, which was sort of the predecessor to Rival Peak, and I'll demo that, and then I'll give some necessary background information on Rival Peak before I dive on to the discussion. So my name is Christopher Hamilton. I'm the Director of Developer Relations in Europe for Genvid Technologies. I have been in the video games industry since 2007. And I've worked at companies like Rovio, Mad Data, Gamehouse, and Nevasoft in roles ranging from localization to production to partner relations. I'm also involved in IGDA Finland, the Finnish Game Jam, and I'm currently on the board of the IGDA, the HQ in the US. And I just kind of wanted to tell a short story about how this whole collaboration between IGDA Finland and the Ambitious Friday came to be. That really kind of all started back in the summer. There was an article that I caught on Wired that was covering some AI stuff that Rovio did last year, and it was super interesting. And it's again Rovio putting Finland on the map. And we're constantly thinking about events and topics for events that we can run here in Helsinki or in Finland. And so I was really thinking we should do some sort of AI event. And I met the Model AI guys, I think at DEF CON, but sometime last summer, and really liked what they were doing and kind of wanted to find a way to collaborate them with work, but that didn't happen. But interested in this idea I had. And then late in the fall, I found out about Ambitious Friday, and I knew Kati from the IGDA Finland board. And so it was sort of a no-brainer that we were going to collaborate on this, and kind of started in the new year. And we reached out to Rovio, who understandably didn't want to talk about something that they had been working on 6 months ago and was kind of old, but said they had something new in the works. And so maybe we'll have another collaboration in the fall. And I really wanted to get the guys from Pipeworks to talk about what I will be talking about, and they are kind of busy, and there's a 10-hour time difference. And so since I didn't develop this, I'm sorry if I can't answer questions, but I think it's really cool. And since a speaker had dropped out, I agreed with Kati that I would put this together kind of at the last minute. And in general, in these times of COVID, we can't do the networking events that we're all used to doing. Online events are challenging, but we see benefits to collaborating with other organizations to explore topics, to cross-pollinate communities. Natasha's school led an online event between IGDA Finland and IGDA Milan, and we're talking about different ecosystems and problems that both communities face and share different solutions. And so I'm excited about Ambitious Africa and Ambitious Friday and this collaboration. And to everybody that's watching, I just want to say, if you have an idea of something that IGDA Finland could cover or work on, or if there's another organization out there that you think we should be collaborating with, do let us know, reach out. So with that, I'll just get going. Genvid Technologies was founded in 2016 by some Square Enix veterans. It is a US-based startup with offices in New York, Montreal, LA, Tokyo, and Berlin. I'm in Finland, but technically I'm in the Berlin office. The company is backed by some leading games VCs like Galaxy Interactive and Makers Fund, and we have people from both of those funds on our board, and they have invested in a number of projects in Finland. And we have amazing advisors like Square Enix, ex-Square Enix CEO Chiwata, media executive Matt Ball, Anna Sweet, who was instrumental in building Valve and Steam into what they are today, and JT Gleason, who was at Twitch for more than 8 years in key roles in both partner and developer relations. And we believe that interactivity is the future of mass media content, and that massive interactive live events, or what we call miles, are sort of the next step in this process, turning passive viewers into active participants. And we seek to disrupt the traditional broadcast experience by offering increased interactivity and a better viewer experience for the widest possible audience. via easily implemented SDK and support services. And Miles are sort of cloud-powered, highly engaging, interactive live broadcast events that allow anyone to be part of a large audience that is directly participating in this event in a meaningful way. And Miles combine the best of sort of lean-forward gaming, lean-back TV, and the thrill of live entertainment. Here, the audience will matter, and it's the individual decide their own level of involvement or the level of influence that they will have on the event. And Miles can be designed in a number of different formats that are sort of out here on the slide. You can actually combine multiple different styles that best fit these specific events. So we're all about creating interactive live streams and experiences geared towards the viewer to make them an active participant. And so now I'll finally jump into the AI section of everything and talk about a studio called Pipeworks. They're based in Oregon, and they have been developing AI for years. And normally with AI, you see it used in production, like the talks we had earlier today, and you see it in games that are interacting with you in the form of NPCs and randomizing dialogue branches. And I'll actually launch this demo here now, which should load. Put that into full screen. And so these guys at Pipeworks were looking at sort of working with them. They had developed a very robust AI system where all the different characters in this AI world had different needs: social needs, security needs, rest, food, hydration. And they just created a basic sort of game and let all these AI participants battle it out until there was sort of one winner. And it was a kind of interesting thing they had in the office. It fascinated everybody. Everybody was watching it sort of like an aquarium farm. And since Genvid makes these viewer-centric experiences, we ended up collaborating with them on this project, Project Ulysses, which was sort of the next phase from that experience. And here you've got 10 different players that are on this island. I can actually change the camera view here so you can see the top-down view of the island where everybody is. And we're currently following Rose, but Rose is kind of walking here. And we, all of these characters have their own cameras that we can follow and track, and they have their own needs. They have a specific bio that talks about who they are and gives them sort of a backstory. They have a particular social profile with various levels of aggression, honesty, curiosity, and empathy. They all have a specific personality type that also sort of shapes what their character is like and what sort of reactions that might have. And then they have different relationships with the other people that are on the island, whether they are more friendly or more aggressive to these other characters that are on. Basically, this is this sort of fishbowl experience that brings the sort of the best of lean back TV. You can sit back and just watch all the madness happen. Or you can actually sort of get involved, and we can get involved by, we can see there are a couple people by drop site D. We can actively start throwing stuff into this world and see what sort of effect that will have. So I'll actually change the camera to drop zone D. Or maybe I need to go to E now, but I think these people are, maybe I'll go to E. I will activate drone and then vote for this Judas goat here, which is basically a goat with a bomb attached to it. And we'll see if I get the most votes for it. Hide this. We're at drop zone E. There are a couple people over here. I don't know if the goat will actually go that far. But a drone will be dropped in shortly. And there's a longer bit of latency than I was expecting. And maybe I need to move this to E, and I dropped it in D instead. We'll drop another one. Let's see here. Hide this. Yeah, now we have the little light coming on saying that there's something coming in. There are a number of things that we could drop in. It doesn't necessarily have to be an exploding goat. It could be some sort of weapon or some sort of resource that will help these characters either survive or battle each other out. But it's one way that we can sort of have some sort of impact that's going on. And that was actually the next to last person. So Kate was the actual survivor in this case. And then this whole experience kind of recycles on 15-minute intervals. It's just kind of an interesting way to have all these different characters interact with one another. I'll add the original version of this, and this version also has a lot of weirdness where the characters can resort to cannibalism because they have sort of programmed, so all these people are in fact meat. And so it just kind of became very sort of fascinating to watch, and sort of why we got involved with it. And I'll just need to minimize this and put this back into full screen mode. So before I go into AI, I'll give you a little more background. We launched this project on December 2nd. Facebook debuted sort of what they dubbed a new interactive reality show called Rival Peak. It's gotten a lot of attention from both industry insiders and the general media, and it features 12 Tamagotchi-style AI characters. And it was powered by Genvid Technologies and our streaming technology. And while Rival Peak looks like a game, it is sort of a culmination of decades of effort to create the world's first native cloud streaming experience. And so we say it isn't a game, it is what we call a mile, this massive event where rather than just having one person drop a bunch of things in, now you can have hundreds, thousands of people that are interacting with these AI characters all in one. And so Rival Peak, that interactive story should not be based around one person, they should be based around an entire audience. That everybody's decision should have consequences to you and to everybody else, that there are no do-overs, there's no pausing, and there's no way to know who's going to win this 12-week competition. During its 12-week run, the world of Rival Peak doesn't stop. Its 12 AI-driven characters are constantly in motion, and the story unfolds as the audience does. Facebook lacks an extension program like Twitch. The previous example I showed you was basically a stream on Twitch that had our overlay on top of it. But Facebook does have the world's leading HTML5 platform, so we worked with Facebook Gaming to use an HTML5 video player to put live streams from our tech into 13 different Facebook instant games, and then link them all to reach Facebook's 2 billion users around the world instantly. And because it's an instant game, there's nothing to download, there's nothing to install. It works very well on low-end Android devices that are a pain for any development team to support. So it's quite accessible as well. And the mile, as a mile, Rival Peak is made up of 3 components. So the first one is the Facebook instant game, which I will focus on as the streams that are all put together. And this persistent world is very much like the reality show Big Brother. Big Brother had a whole bunch of different cameras where anybody, when they wanted to, they could go to addresses and they could see cameras in various rooms and see what contestants were doing. And all of this is driven by the sophisticated AI developed by Pipeworks. All of the voting takes place sort of Tamagotchi style through audience participation events or apes, and I will touch on these in the demo. But basically, viewers interact with these AI contestants, and as they do that, they are creating score for those characters, and the contestant with the lowest score at the end of the week is eliminated. The second part of this is Rival Speak, which is a Facebook Watch original companion show hosted by Will Wheaton. And this guides the audience deeper into the world and its secrets and its characters, and the show is much more like Lost, and there's a huge, complex storyline that goes week to week filled with conspiracy theories and total craziness dreamed up by the team at DJ2 Entertainment. And the narrative serves as sort of the experience meta narrative, so to say. And so this weekly show is more than just a weekly wrap-up show. Will interview the contestants to provide more background information. He sets up the following week. And again, Will and the producers do not know who is getting eliminated week by week, and they do not know all of the craziness that is going to happen from week to week. So there's a crazy production schedule that I'm not going to go into on this talk, but if you're interested, I'm happy to talk about it later. And then the third element is actually the Facebook social platform itself, because there's a Rival Peak page. There's several fan pages that provide additional information on all these characters to follow what's happening on them. And this is sort of a callback to when people would live tweet watching programs like Game of Thrones and having it all right there happening on Facebook's platform. So the AI in Rival Peak is based on a proprietary system called First Order Regressive Numerical Action Planner, or 4NAP. that Pipeworks Studios has been building from the ground up over the last 5 years. This is based on an automated planner technology in the category of GOAP, or goal-oriented action planning. The automated planners have been around for a long time and are used mostly with NPCs or real-world robots in video games. And in developing for an app, there were 2 main issues that Pipeworks really wanted to resolve. And the first was reducing the search space when trying to find and develop plans. And the second was adding the ability to reason about continuous real valued quantities instead of first world predicates, which is how most of the classic planners are model the world. They wanted to have this be more, have so many goals and so many systems within that based on established needs and desires that it would be free, there would be no fixed decision tree. And so this AI system works very freely. And so all of these characters pursue the best goal based on their existing needs and plans. They use their abilities, including memory, to build an action plan to achieve the goal, the most important goal for them at this time. But then they can even change their mind along the way if something happens or when more live information is taken in. So one of these characters, let's say they're a little bit hungry and they're kind of on a quest to get food, but they run into another character that needs help on a project or is building something, and they can switch and end up helping that other character. So it builds off a number of sort of great starting points and brings an incredible level of dynamic creativity to bear that most game AI just don't have. Here are the 12 contestants. Again, they all have different backgrounds and personalities, and they are set in the Pacific Northwest, trying to just kind of survive and not be eliminated. Each character has its own sort of archetypal personality, the joker, the hothead, flirt, and that helps differentiate all the characters from one another, and it also determines expressive actions and plot-based status effects and other behaviors available that each character can have. And these AI characters really have their own personal set of goals. There's this one guy in the front, Saban, who's kind of given the peace signals like this. He's a bit of a hippie. Sometimes you will see him just staring at trees because he's meditating and he's doing his thing. So a lot of these characters have very individual things that they end up doing in the game. And while all those goals drive characters' behaviors, they are affected by the viewers in many ways through these audience participation events. The AI characters are oblivious to the meta-narrative. If they knew about it, they would be too busy kind of chugging through the needs that they have, which is mostly surviving and exploring their immediate surroundings. So most of the puzzle solving in the experience falls to the audience. It's an instant game. I'll just hit this link and hopefully, fingers crossed, this will work. I had some technical issues earlier. And it looks like maybe, yes, okay, it loaded quite well. And so I'll just kind of walk you through the interface. There is a home screen that actually showed my my thing. Focus on Jeb. Jeb is one of the characters here. If we tap his little character, we get a backstory, and we understand what his nourishment levels, hydration, warmth, and social bits are. And he's currently working on a project, and I can help him work on that project by using this tab here. And he's cooking food, and by tapping on this circle here, I can help speed up the process of him cooking up food. And so with the project apes, these are multiple sort of phase things where the characters will need to get wood for the fire, start the fire. They will need to like find food to cook. And so this is the sort of thing I helped earn Jeb here another 90 points. There are dialogues that you can go through that you have sort of all the different characters talking to one another. And it's not entirely fixed, and they had to come up with a clever way of recycling a lot of the dialogue with a lot of the characters that were eliminated. And as we've reached sort of the end of everything, we've actually brought back a lot of the characters. There's a sort of a cool function here that shows you the map of where all the characters are. They kind of all started out in Zone 1 and eventually evolved, and as different areas opened up, But his characters were eliminated. They all went into this elimination bunker, and we're also still trying to solve the mysteries of what is happening with all the characters here in this weird conspiracy-like story that taps onto mysticism and lots of other things. And now we see that Jeb actually has a goal ape. So this gives me an idea of sort of what he needs to do. And he's pretty good with warmth and nourishment. I would really like to help him hydrate, but it's not really an option. So we'll say, go ahead and nourish yourself. Vote and play. And this time I get sort of a match 3 mini game that I can pull up. And again, I'm earning points for this. The more points I earn, the better, because there's probably other players that have selected other task for we gather berries instead of nourish. And so as a result, I'm sort of encouraged to score as many points as I can so that my particular goal will be accepted by him. There's another minute on that I'm not going to spend too much time in. But then there are other sort of gamified elements in terms of leaderboards. We support eFigs for the whole thing. I have the sound effects turned off here because all of these characters have unique sound effects and soundtracks. I really like Winter's music. Winter's this character here. And we can kind of quickly jump to see what he's doing. But it's just kind of a neat way to experience everything. And I just like her electronic music. I usually have her going on in the background. And she, I guess, is viewing this door. And so we can help speed up this process. One of the coolest things with regards to all of the AI characters that they've put this in the absolutely insane Lost-like storyline is they experimented with putting a wolf brain into some of the characters and had them running all over around and chasing each other, which was also a little bit insane. And so there are just a lot of cool things that the team has been doing with AI in general and making this. This was a bit of an emergency slide to just kind of show the goal API, and I think I covered project action and goal apes. With that, the key takeaways, I think this is an exciting opportunity for AI utilizing emergent behavior. And I think this is going to lead sort of the future of what NPGs could be. Huge potential in terms of being able to reach people on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube. And it's pretty interesting. With that, I'll just say thank you. If anybody has any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. And again, if anybody has any thoughts for future collaborations, IGDA or otherwise, do feel free to reach out. My IGDA address is Chris, CHRIS, at igda.v.
Awesome. Thanks, Christopher. There was more like not a question, but there was Pan said that these guys are all from Lost. Is that true? Are they all from Lost?
They're all modeled after. The whole storyline is basically taken in a whole lot of craziness going on. It started with all of these people, all these 12 contestants, thinking that they're in a reality TV show on this island, and then they're not on an island, but in the American Northwest, and they slowly discover that there is a huge conspiracy. There is some secret agency that's been doing brain scans. There is some mystery that is in this. North American mysticism pulls itself in. It jumps all over the place, so it has that sort of lost feeling. And again, the narrative often depends on who has been sort of eliminated from the experience, and really kind of what the players select the characters to do.
A question.
The picture.
Christopher, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so how deep the story goes if players decide for one character to do absolutely out of the way things, or always decide that this will happen then.
One, that you tend to have sort of trollers versus helpers, so I've discovered. So you have a group of people that are typically helping characters versus trying to be destructive and create more chaos in what's happening in the game, which is kind of fun to watch play out. Yeah, there's just been, I mean, as puzzles have been unlocked and as things have happened, certain things unfolded that would happen to one or another character that may have happened to different characters had the story unfolded differently. There's a bit of it really kind of, you have these characters that are sort of walking through the world, and as they walk through the world, they sort of unfold what's going on, rather than having it really having a clear narrative branch that they're walking through.
So there is no like fixed ending, or like
there is more or less a fixed ending, but I would say that there are multiple fixed endings, and so we don't know how it's really gonna play out in the end.
Yeah, but the ending, like the difference between endings will be like Joe discovered the ending number 3, or like Nina discovered the landing number 3.
The whole thing was written that you could have essentially 5. Well, they planned for 5 different seasons, and season 1 will end, I believe, this coming Wednesday. But it's a lot of the endings were actually very distinct from one another.
Depend on characters.
They depend on interactions that the characters have. So, like, there was a very weird situation where everything was sort of hacked a couple weeks ago, and they replayed the whole game but sped the whole simulation up. And essentially that was sort of replaying what had already happened to date, but it could have had a completely different conclusion up to that point. So the whole simulation, much like the simulation that we had in the original game that I demoed that had the 10 characters, where you never know which character is going to survive until the very end. This is sort of that, but it goes across 8 weeks, or maybe more than 8 weeks, 12 weeks. And so all those interactions depend on kind of how the whole thing plays out.
Okay, thanks.
Probably doesn't really answer your question.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can actually talk about that, but like if you really can disclose, how many endings does it have? Like 12 or 100? Or is it like more like a combination just of people who survived and stuff like this?
I think it's more like there are probably in the range of maybe 10 really fixed different endings that are kind of radical from one. And the rest of it just depends on how all these characters bump into each other and the interactions that they have with one another.
Okay. Yeah, this answers my question. Thanks.
I have a question. Have the people grouped together and went against one character, or like have they grouped up and just went like, we don't like this guy? And
so they're the characters themselves, like, so there have been a number of different circumstances where in the very beginning, when it felt more like a reality show, you had the characters under a situation where it was sort of men versus the women, or the men were in one camp and the women were in another camp, and they were sort of interacting on that sense. And then a number of parameters were sort of shifted into the following week, and new alliances were formed. But alliances will sort of naturally happen because all these characters have different scores and different affinities for the other characters there. So a lot of this sort of naturally will happen, but it can be disrupted very much by all the players and how they affect things by these daily votes. So, you'll have a daily question of, who should this person sort of have a relationship or fall in love with? And, you choose between one or two different people. Should we give them bad dreams or good dreams? Should we, it's all these, should they get what should the weather be like tomorrow? Snow or rain? Should we give the contestants heat packs or not? And that all these things end up affecting what they end up doing that day, because if they don't have heat packs, they spend an awful lot of time generating heat to stay warm, for example.
I bet that's how life is also simulated. Okay. Anyways, thank you a lot, Christopher. Is there any other questions in the chat? Oh yeah, actually, I had one more. That is that some sort of Hunger Games type of thing related to that also?
Do you mean the original demo, or?
I mean the movies, the Hunger Game movies.
I mean, a lot of people see similarities to it. You could say maybe it was inspired by it. I mean, basically, the AI that the Pipeworks originally developed was basically putting a bunch of characters in a simulation and having them kill each other. So that's kind of it right there.
Fun. Is there any questions to any other speakers? Now we could have like the open conversation with everybody all together, and just you guys can talk to each other. That's all right. No need to stress. So everybody can hear me still, right? Yeah, okay. Our viewers are not very into this kind of talking stuff, I guess. They're kind of quiet. Do we have any questions from the live audience we have here? Awesome, 3-person live audience. Any questions?
Okay, may I have one?
Yes.
So, hello. I want to ask, can we teach a game that it's not developed by Unity?
You guys heard the question, right?
I think the question goes to Christopher and Anton. Also, Christopher.
Yeah, sure. So is the question whether you can, if I got it right, if you can test a game now developed with Unity?
Oh, yeah. So, hello. Can we teach a game that it's not developed by Unity? I mean, with other framework.
And this is for me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah, no, yeah. So absolutely. Like the methods the stuff that I showed today is engine agnostic on the back end. So I mean, we've done it for Unity, Unreal Engine, and custom engines as well. So actually, the logic doesn't care. So it's mostly a question of having the right observations and data structures in the engine or the framework that you use, and then being able to pipe that out of the running framework, basically.
Okay. So you have to have or get access to the code to do that, no?
Right. So in that case, it would in order for the AI to see the game state and to continuously run the simulation, you'd have to make that adaptation. But then the algorithmic logic can sit outside of the individual game.
Okay, thanks.
Dalton, there's a question. I think it was yours.
There's another question. Does the AI agents work on other engines than Unity? That was just the same as you asked. Yeah, right. Okay. I got another one. So there are probably students watching this, and behalf of them all, I may ask, are you guys taking any interns, and what type of interns are you taking if you are taking interns? That's to all of you guys.
Yeah, well, everything can be discussed. So if there is a student who thinks they're interested in working on the stealth game of new generation, then sure, fire up an email to me or approach me on this deal room thing. No worries.
Same thing here. Shoot an email. We do it on a case-by-case basis, and yeah, let us know what you're interested in, and we're always interested in hearing from people.
Is there any special skills you prefer over some special skills?
Main special skill is using your head. So this is the main preference here.
Thing for us, you know, we actually have an intern now, and that's a person who's very skilled in UX and in AI algorithms. It could also be that you're interested in game engines, or it could be something other altogether. You know, PR, marketing, sales as well, all parts of the business.
All right, sounds awesome. You can come here to ask the question. No need to be shy. Come on, I couldn't hear you. Come here. No need to be shy.
So hello again. Last question here. What about the program language that you usually use? Is C# or Java?
Yeah, C# for us, yes.
And for us, it depends on the engine. So C# and C++ for the engines typically, and a lot of the AI stuff is written in Python on our side.
Okay.
That's better. Thank you. We still have like 18 minutes, so if there's anything you want to go further, deeper, into more detail to something you already explained, we are more than interested, if that's all right to you guys. If there's something else you want to let us know. It seems like there's not too many questions. And about using my head, I think I've used my head so much right now that I'm about to be out, so. My fellow students have a lot of questions, but they're just shy, so here we go again.
Hey, I just want to know if you have any suggestions, as we are like future AI students. So what we have to focus on first of all?
What students?
We are AI students, like first year students. Yeah, and I just want to know if you have any suggestions for us how to like start working for some companies or anything, like how to prepare.
How to make a perfect CV? What?
Well, you should definitely study well, and ideally work on your own project. So you need to invent something like of your own and try to do that. And then when you come and looking for a job, you can show this thing, and people say, "Oh, wow! So you made this all by yourself." And then basically half of the work is done.
Yeah, I think I'd second that. I think good fundamentals are important, right? And having a broad overview of sort of like the current state of the art and the different methods. You know, when you're trying to solve a particular problem, the more different methods and approaches you know, the better you can sort of like choose one that makes sense. I think definitely having some kind of like demo, or even just a small thing where you put something all the way out and rendering it, you know, also visible somehow, especially if we're thinking about games, making sure that you can see the AI act or do something. That's always helpful in communicating to people who are maybe not sort of like core AI people, and they might be decision makers in the process as well, right? And then finally, I think it kind of like depends on where you want to sit, right? But at least from the work that I've done and that we're familiar with, I think being really pragmatic and also saying, you know, maybe you're not going to like finding a solution for a concrete problem maybe requires you to put together, you know, 2 different methods, or do half of one in order to sort of like get it to do what you need it to do. So getting some experience in being focused on the end user problem as well is also very helpful.
Did that answer your?
Yeah, thank you for the suggestions. It's really helpful.
Yeah, we're studying hard, and we got a lot of courses going on at the same time, so it's kind of hard to pick the ones that you want to go all in and the ones you want to go double all in. Yeah. All right. So if there's nothing more on your side, if you still want to go on detail to something, we're more than interested, but
Last words.
yeah. Unless there's nothing more, we will thank you and go to the final words. All right. So thanks to everyone that was here with us, and thank you to all the guests who were with us, and all to the live audience, obviously. Thank you guys very much, all the 3 people plus me. And yeah, have an amazing Friday and also a weekend. And thanks to the questions again. Very helpful.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Nice weekend.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, bye.
Anytime. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.